When an Indian was shopping in Yiwu small commodities market in China, he tried to leave with an unpaid piece of clothing and was caught by the store owner who accused him of theft. As a result, a group of Indians surrounded the owner, and the two sides were about to clash. Later, the police stepped in. Both parties claimed it was a misunderstanding, and the Indian paid the money and faced no further consequences. When Chinese official media reported the incident, they mentioned it only in passing, in an attempt to calm strong domestic resentment toward Indian tourists. But netizens in the comment sections were not buying it at all. No one has ever heard of Indians overpaying, yet they forget to pay quite often, and this seems far from the first time. The majority of netizens demanded that the government immediately tighten visas for Indians to reduce their disruption to social order. To be honest, after Modi's visit to China, the Chinese government temporarily lifted the embargo on rare earths and other industrial raw materials to India and relaxed visa requirements for Indians. However, this move has led to a series of serious problems. Indians do not observe public order. They like to gather in large groups and make loud noise in public places, bathe in rivers, and throw trash in nature reserves in Tibet. Many people like to leave comments saying Pakistan is the same as India, and Bangladeshis are also dirty. Yet the truth is that for a very long time, China has maintained good relations with Pakistan and Bangladesh. Their tourists have kept coming to China, and they have never attracted such widespread negative attention. Even before China-India relations became tense, Indians in Chinese society had already triggered widespread discussion, focused on disrupting public order, theft, and fraud. Therefore, any attempt by Indians to blame their uncivilized behavior on all South Asians being like this is completely untenable. My channel has some young Bangladeshi viewers who feel ashamed of backwardness and poverty, face problems seriously, and work hard to improve. In contrast, the Indians in my comment section always claim foreigners slander India, that India is not that dirty, that foreigners frame Indians, and that Indians are not an uncivilized group. They say the faults of Bangladeshis and Pakistanis always end up being blamed on Indians. Just from this attitude alone, we can see the difference in national character and quality. China also had people who littered everywhere, and 20 years ago China was very dirty too. Although it was still far cleaner than India today, it certainly could not be called a civilized country back then. Chinese people face problems and solve them. Today's China is one of the cleanest countries in the world. The vast majority of foreigners who visit China are amazed by its perfect infrastructure, advanced technology, cleanliness, hygiene, and cheap consumption. Indians always refuse to acknowledge their own shortcomings and constantly try to defend themselves by belittling other countries. This mentality is undoubtedly pathological. Returning to the incident itself, the Indian tourist tried to walk away with clothing he had not paid for, so he was clearly at fault. No matter what, once the store owner pointed it out, he should have immediately apologized and paid, instead of trying to strengthen his bargaining power through mob confrontation. The local police handled the matter very inappropriately. They dealt with Indians the same way they handle disputes among Chinese people, which will plant serious security risks. In China, theft has basically been eradicated, and stealing is an extremely shameful act. Even the poorest Chinese people would rather beg than steal. Stealing clothes or food is unimaginable in China. Therefore, the police subjectively assumed the Indian had simply forgotten to pay. Based on my personal experience, I very much doubt he forgot to pay. Indians in Yiwu defraud merchants just to get free samples worth a few hundred yuan. In Guangdong, some Indians pretend to be clients and come to discuss business with Chinese companies, simply because Chinese people provide free lunch. The Chinese who were cheated at first did not take it seriously at all, because no matter how hard they tried, Chinese people could not imagine that anyone on earth would commit fraud for a few samples or even just a meal. But after being cheated many times, they finally believed it. Yes, this is what Indians do. No matter how the Indians in the comment section attack me for slandering India, they cannot explain why India has been labeled negatively in every country around the world. The uncivilized behavior of Indian tourists and immigrants has become a public nuisance to humanity. From Europe to North America, Australia, Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and China, the uncivilized performances put on by Indians truly break through the bottom line of human civilization. I believe the current ambiguous attitude of the Chinese government is extremely harmful. It makes Indians mistakenly believe that as long as the violation is not serious, they will not face consequences in China. The Chinese government relaxed Indian visas, seemingly to give legitimate Indian businessmen the opportunity to enter China and promote bilateral trade. But I want to say this is completely unnecessary. Modi has repeatedly called Chinese people slanty eyes. If Indians had better sourcing channels, they would immediately abandon Chinese suppliers. Even after years of the Modi government repeatedly cracking down on Chinese companies, blocking Chinese apps, stopping direct flights between the two countries, and halting visas, Indians still import goods from China. Their businessmen find ways to transit through other countries to come to China. Even changing passports or hiring foreigners as proxies, they still buy Chinese goods. The Chinese government has absolutely no need to open visas and let Indians come to China to pollute the environment and disrupt public security. China's top leadership may not know how many Indians are actually in the country. I often run into Indians in Shenzhen. Once when I was with friends at the gate of a vocational college in Huayan, I actually saw several groups of Indian students. Can you imagine that? Huayan is a third-tier city in China, located in the northern Jiangsu economic zone. It is not in the Pearl River Delta, Yangtze River Delta, or any other developed economic belt. To foreigners, it is definitely considered remote. Moreover, I really cannot understand why these terrible diploma mill schools are qualified to recruit international students. These schools are so bad that even local Chinese students attend them holding back tears, yet they still want to lose face in front of the international community. I have said many times in my videos that even though there are many black people in Guangzhou, I do not oppose immigrants settling in China. This includes Indians. As long as they abide by social order, do not damage the environment, litter, urinate and defecate in public, steal, or commit fraud, even if they are studying at terrible schools, and contribute nothing to Chinese society, I still believe their basic human right to migrate should be respected. But if these people frequently cause incidents, create controversy, and break the bottom line of social morality, China should not hesitate to deport them. If you do not identify with Chinese culture and do not respect Chinese social order, you are not welcome here.